All right. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to share my screen so we can start talking with the with assets in front of us. But first of all, thank you all so much for adding your stickies and your screenshots. I think for chat in particular, this is going to be super useful because this is not just saying like, hey, there is a banner here. This kind of explain why this banner exists within our security sections as well. So the goal of the conversation today is first, let's go over the stickies in here. We'll go over just this pre-workshop part. And then discuss like why is this working? Why is this not working? And then we can start moving this to an affinity mapping, use cases, collate them into use cases. Um, Full transparency here. I have exported this as a PDF and I did ask Claude to, based on this exercise that we're going to be doing today, to suggest us a few clusters of use cases already. So I think it'd be good that we consider that there are a few use cases that we may be able to combine into one. It suggested one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight use cases. Um, but I can just show to you what are the use cases it gave based on your inputs. So the first one is critical blockers. We have a lot of banners with information that is informing users that you cannot complete a workflow because of particular blockers. And then the second one is feature discovery, not necessarily new features. So like you landed on that page for the first time ever, and we inform you about a feature. And then there's also the first time onboarding, which is what Manav has been really focused on from new user journeys. The third use cases that it identified was the new feature announcements. So this doesn't matter if you're a new or an old user. At this snapshot of the time, there is a new feature, and we may be using banners to inform them or another component. Another use case identified is proactive warnings. So time sensitive warnings like, hey, if we don't do this by this time, or if you don't enable this by this time, there is a consequence. Um, the next one is security best practice recommendations. So when we're using alerts or other components to inform of recommended actions. Um, and then status updates and feedback. A classic one that I saw here is when a vulnerability has been remediated. Then we are alerting users about that. And then upgrade, upsell prompts. I think this falls into something that you were mentioning earlier, Marissa, that like anything that gets us money is a top priority. So I expect, for example, when we are reevaluating the importance of these use cases, this would be very high. And then finally, setting expectations is just clarifying how a feature works. So does everybody agree with these eight use cases being separate? Should we combine a couple of them? And then we can start bringing the stickies under them. Chad, your hands up.
Yeah, I think that it might be helpful to kind of, even though these are already bucketing, I think it might be helpful to bucket these buckets a little bit because I think there are maybe like kind of three main themes to this. It's like you can't do something until you do something else. Something is new or something's messed up. I think are kind of like the three kind of, like meta level messages that are being conveyed with this. I'm not sure if everybody agrees with that, but it seems like those are kind of the three modes going on here, right? It's like uh-oh, or hey, if you don't do something, there'll be an uh-oh, or you can't do something, or like either you or a feature are new, so let's explain something.
Mhm, mhm.
Chad, can you say what those three buckets were one more time? I want to capture those here.
Oh yeah, I would say it's like something's broken. You have to do something before you can do what you want, or something's new. And the something might be you as a user, or it might be a feature.
Okay.
I
Something
think
is new.
I don't know if there's like a better way to phrase those, but
No,
I
it's good to just have it in front of us. Yeah, Lana, sorry.
I like those buckets, Chad. The one that I don't know where it would fit is right now we're inconsistent in how we say something has been done and it completed successfully. Like in my product area, we sometimes use toasts to say something has been created. And in some parts, we use alerts or banners. I guess it's
Yes. And I think it's not specific to you all. I think those patterns are kind of used in a mix kind of across the product. Toasts also we have problems with because there are some accessibility challenges with those sometimes. But yeah, that's actually something that Claude I think didn't grab out of this was like just something worked, which does seem like it's also a message that needs to get communicated but isn't captured in
Something
this.
worked or something changed.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something
Both.
happened. Something good happened, or
Yeah.
something expected happened, I guess.
Hmm.
Affirmative
Yeah.
action taken. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's almost like the
Yeah.
opposite of the broken aspect. You have things went bad, things went good.
Mhm. Yeah, I saw a
Okay.
lot of that in my audit. There was a lot of like successfully done, and that seemed like kind of low lying fruit. What is that
Yeah,
expression?
it's
Low
fruit that
hanging
already fell
fruit.
off the tree. It's lying on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Hanging.
it seems like I mean, now knowing that there's accessibility challenges with a toast maybe changes things, but it seems like that was kind of the easiest way to clean up some of these, especially because there was inconsistency in whether or not there were info alerts or success alerts. For some reason, a lot of them were info alerts, whereas success alert seems like the obvious thing to use there. But um, I think these are pretty good. We do have an alert on the vulnerability report, and that shows up on some vulnerability detail pages that is letting users know that this vulnerability is planned to be archived. Um, so I don't know, I don't think that would fit in any of these buckets because it's not something's broken or bad. It's just, and it's,
Deprecation.
You're right.
yeah,
That's like
Mm,
the something needs to be
maybe,
done, proactive warning.
Well, there's just
yeah.
kind of like an FYI bucket, like sometimes we're just letting them know stuff.
Mhm. And I suspect that one may be pretty frequent. Michael, I'm going to keep picking on you. I apologize. Especially as we're introducing new scanners and we want to encourage migration off of old onto something new. Um, those are something needs to be done, something's deprecated, but uh, being in your face a little bit about it, of like you need to do this in order to use the product.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
like
that's all
the
there.
I like the something at the start will probably help us as we talk. So let's use these buckets in here, and I think these here would be sub buckets of those then. Probably something that the design system team could like maybe think as well that like these four categories, they're overarching ones, but within these categories you have these subcategories of things, and sometimes one component does not work for the other. But
Just
okay, let's.
sorry, one other note before we move on about patterns that Becca called out that she's seen historically in the app. I think that I mean this is certainly not to excuse it. I don't necessarily think it's good, but part of the kind of like the historical reason that we have a lot of like alert usage, especially in forms, is just because GitLab started as a Rails app and throw an alert up at the top is a super common Rails pattern, kind of a Web 2.0 pattern for like either it worked or it didn't work, and here's a bulleted list of the things you need to do to make it work again.
Mhm.
And we still have a bunch of those. There are several of them that are like a decade old that are still in code in like a Haml template. It's something that as we build new functionality in Vue, we tend to move away towards, but then we kind of have this palimpsest of like the old way and the new way kind of existing, sometimes in very close places at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very classic on authentication because a lot of our pages are in HAML.
Mhm.
Mm. All right.
I have one more thing, Sayo.
Yeah.
Sorry. Knowing that Jonah gave a literal chainsaw emoji at one point to me to say slash. Um, There is a lens of this of cutting. So my ask as well is as we're going through this grouping, let's use one of these stamps. There aren't any great ones, unfortunately. Maybe we can use that red one. Yeah. Put this next to one that we believe can just be cut. Um, Chad, I'm thinking that I know that you all have MRs where you're actively going through some of this. I think that's a very actionable outcome. As I was going through, there are a couple that can be, in my opinion. So let's use that as well. So we can have discussion. Do we all agree that these can be just cut right now? Um, I want
You
that to
mean
be
like
included in
cut
this.
and replaced with a different pattern or
No,
just
cut,
like,
cut.
That's
It
the
might,
direction that we're being told, yeah.
yeah, is to cut. There's a couple, like for example, I found one in the like create policies area, which is a feedback form at the top of the page. It's a banner being used as a feedback form. I think that falls into cut. That is not driving money right now, and that is not conveying a critical system failure. Um, so knowing that we want to be improving some of these, but also knowing that there is the directive to reduce quickly, we do need to have the conversation of what can be cut. Just cut.
Yep, let's take some time for that. Okay, so I want to be respectful of everyone's times. I'm gonna put a timer here. Don't mind it. This is just so we are conscious of it. So, no, that's the volume. Uh, do, do, do. So I'll put 25 minutes for now, and if we need another five to continue discussing, I can add that. But what we're gonna do now is let's go over what we added in here, just discuss, have the conversation, and then if we identify that this immediately falls into one of the buckets, we can just move it there. Okay?
we're just copying and
Uh,
pasting the screenshots?
I'd say like the sticky itself because we have the screenshots in here, so just the sticky should be fine, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So I'll click play.
Sorry,
Well, all we can
Um,
figure out as we go as well.
yeah, with this one, I just added one large sticky and bullet points, so that's going to make it harder. I can break this up and do this
Do you know
one.
what? Let's copy the sticky and the screenshot then, and then you can just reduce the sticky that is relevant to that screenshot.
Well, but the screenshot also has like multiple in them. So we can, you know what we can do? We can copy the screenshot and then you just double click to crop it and just you can crop it down to just one of the alerts.
Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, cool.
Right. All right, I'll just start the timer here. Terrifying. Okay, so I'll start with the ones on the top that I added here. Um, we have this banner when users do not have an SSH key. And for particular tasks like cloning, pulling, pushing, if you're trying to use SSH as an authentication method, you need an SSH key. This one is do something before you can do something immediately. So I'll just copy that and paste it here. Uh, doo, doo, doo. But the good thing about this one is that we have an MR that is fixing this. This banner is disappearing right away. And instead, we are moving this message inside the code dropdown where it's relevant for you to know that you need an SSH key.
So with that in mind, can I say that this one's going to be getting cut and then put a sticky with what's going to be
Yeah,
happening? Okay, I'm thinking
yeah,
about the, excuse me, post-action communication of the results from this.
yeah,
Okay.
of course, yeah, yeah. Okay, then the next one I got here. This one annoys me so much. You cannot access one or more groups unless you have 2FA enabled. And this one is a particular big pain for me because you imagine that you're part of 10 groups and only one of them requires 2FA. So that's already a big pain that we land the users on this page. The banner is very overwhelming if you're actually part of multiple groups that require 2FA. So this easily falls into you gotta do something before you do something else. Here. But I would not agree about removing this banner because we don't have an easy solution right now to redo this flow. Maybe we can use a different pattern on this page. It doesn't need to be a banner, but until a pattern is decided, the banner needs to be there. Does that make sense? Chad, any thoughts about that?
What is the call to action here?
The call to
Because
action is that
it looks like
add
the
to
user has a
FA.
passkey, right?
No, no,
Oh,
this
sorry,
is
it's about 2FA. I mean, it seems like
yeah,
this should be, at the very least, this should be in the 2FA section, like closer to where you can do something about it.
mm,
Um, but I don't know. I mean, I think if there's it's a little bit of like a different but not really different kind of situation. But like, you could also just have this list somewhere in the 2FA section, not inside of an alert, and then you would cut the alert, but you would still have the same information and it would be closer to where you could do something about it. Like
yeah.
that would kind of
I
satisfy
have
the demand from executives on that, but it would, I mean, kind of still be the same, just like it's in a different place in the page and it's kind of different colors.
Kyle, isn't
yeah,
this also the landing page? So if someone hasn't created a 2FA, uh,
exactly. And users are unable to leave this page unless they enable 2FA.
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another detail for you, Chad. That like, if you try to click anywhere else on the page, you're always going to be taken back here. It's a very frustrating experience.
Oh,
I have vision work done and tested already to fix this, but it will not be fixed now. It needs to be something. It's like a new feature, essentially. Yeah. So we do need a midterm solution, but I don't want to spend a lot of time here. It was just to give context. Let me go back in here. This next one, this one is interesting. You cannot create a group access token because either there is a restriction or, more importantly, you have to pay to upgrade. So I would say that this falls into two categories, easy. So this one is, well, I don't know if this falls in any of, oh yeah, this one. So something needs to be done. An upgrade, a tier upgrade needs to happen. Only, I think, premium and ultimate or just ultimate are allowed to create group access tokens, but we say nothing in here. There's no information whatsoever. So even though there is no banner, there should be an affordance here to tell you you're not part of a subscription that allows this.
This is an interesting use case because it's not, it's like it should be a banner rather than is a banner and should be removed. It's
Yeah,
very,
like this
yeah.
this one is literally nothing, but I think that because there is nothing, we may be missing some revenue opportunity here.
Hmm.
but would this be a banner or is this something that would be like an informative empty state?
An informative empty stage is a good one, yeah. Hey, group access tokens are here, but you need to upgrade.
Mhm.
And then once you upgrade, you get to see the table.
Exactly. Yeah, to have that
It
more of an
just,
embedded directly on the page so that there's no tables here, but then we're not relying on that banner component and it's something that is directly embedded on the page. And that'd be the
I
only thing
had,
you can do.
yeah.
I had some
But there are
examples
two.
that
Sorry, Jacqueline, yeah?
work. I had some examples from another product that would work well for this. Just
Brilliant.
FYI. I don't know if we're at that point in the workshop though. Um,
Oh no, please, if you have an example that will work for this, like feel free to add a reference to it here, like as a comment or something. I think that'd be very helpful for Chad, for example, or for us and the authentication team to create a feature. Um, Next one, two. Yeah, we have this one, suggestion on storing 2FA recovery codes. So on this page, there is a banner saying ensure you have your 2FA recovery codes stored in a safe place. I think this is easily one that we can cut, to be honest with you. Let me put here. Where's that? So there's no consequence for you here. It's more informative. So where should I put this?
Cut a cut bucket.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like, so should we have a category here called simply informative?
Hmm.
Nothing bad or good happens in here, it's just a recommendation for you.
We can do that now just to progress through the workshop and do any
Cool. Awesome.
subcategorizing, but that's a good catch-all for now.
Awesome. Yeah, I only have another two for authentication. So this one was flagged by Manav, by the way, and I think Becca, you identified that on your user registration journey. So thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
This one is this one here. It's also on something needs to be done. If you register your account and you don't verify your email within 3 days, we will delete your account. So it is time sensitive. It is important. And suggestions from Marcel was that this shouldn't even be a banner here. This could be a message within the email that you receive when you register your account. And one thing that I suggested as well is like, what if we sent another email a day before deletion to inform them, like, hey, you haven't verified your new account yet. If you don't verify within 24 hours, we'll delete it. I think that would be better than a banner here, but thoughts from anyone?
This is like this is such a critical message for the user because like they could use GitLab for 3 days, and if they have dismissed this banner, or if they don't see this banner, or if they don't check their email, all of a sudden their account is gone. Um, so like I don't know. This feels like a very good excuse to be noisy to someone. It's like, hey, you will stop having access to this entirely if you don't do something right now, and all you have to do is go click on a thing. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Does this banner only exist here or
It
um
seems like it should be everywhere, right? Like
is
every
it
page you go on should be
everywhere?
like, hey, dude, you're gonna get
Yeah.
kicked out. You got to go click on this link.
Yeah. I feel like that should be persistent on the UI once you get into GitLab as well.
Yeah. Like I get that, they want to reduce like visual noise and stuff, but this is a situation where it almost feels like it should be like a modal. Every page you go to, it's like, no, for real though.
I feel like we could do something visually, like underneath you are signed in as Sparky Domo for added security, like line break. And then if you don't do this within 3 days, I mean, maybe add an emoji or bold or like some kind of like attention drawn to it.
I will
If
say
Or
that
even with
semantically, the info variant doesn't really make sense here. This should be
a warning.
warning
Yeah.
because this is telling you
Yeah.
that like if you don't do something, something bad will happen, not just telling you like, hey, FYI, a thing happened.
It
But
should be
also
a
they
countdown.
they are they are about to verify potentially. I feel like it's unfair to give a warning. I mean, I
That's a
guess a
good point.
warning,
This is basically saying if you don't do the thing, you're about to do something bad will
yeah,
happen. But like, where else do we tell them about this?
after you
Yeah.
get in, if you don't, because can you get in if you don't verify here?
Do you know
That's a
what?
good
That's a
question.
good thing that I need to confirm.
Yeah, like if you try to navigate to a different URL, will it just bounce you back here? Because if so, then
Then
yeah,
that
Because
I'd
what
solves
if
really
it.
we
think
just force immediate verification? Yeah, it
But then
seems
we
like that's
could
what
just
we're doing. There's no skip button here.
yeah, we could then put this information on the page below
Yeah.
and embed it directly on it. I think that's kind of the key question to figure out here is, are you able to get in? If yes, maybe it does warrant the suggestion of having it in a more in your face thing. Otherwise, you're going to get barred. But if you cannot access without having done this, then we can reduce this banner and embed it directly on the page and then be popping people back here because this is where you need to take the action.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
pretty common to require immediate verification. Otherwise, you can't get in the first place. I don't know, it seems weird to me that you have
I think it's
3 days.
like maybe like if you cannot get in, it's something like we will remove you from our databases completely, you know? So
Uh,
I think there is a follow-up here. Like if you cannot get in, what happens to your data after 3 days? Can you re-register the account, for example?
Yeah.
mm.
I'm not super familiar fully of this, but anti-abuse is within authorization, and we deal with verification to
Yeah.
understand risk of users. So this is also actually like one of 2 or 3 points of verification that happens after you sign up. Before you are able to run a pipeline, there's another banner that shows up for you that says you have to re-verify your account. Um, so I'll post that as well in the place.
Thank you. In interest of time, let me just continue. And this last one from authentication. This was introduced very recently because after a crowdsourcing exercise that I did, GitLab employees find it very painful that we don't give you enough warnings that, like, hey, your SAML session, your Okta session expired. You need to re-verify in order to see all of your issues, merge requests, etc. So we introduced that on the homepage and we updated the copy for the existing banner on like merge requests and to-dos, etc. So I this is new, but I think that maybe there's something better that we can do. So let me see. I would consider that as like something needs to be done. Yeah. But at the same time, the UI is kind of broken because you haven't re-authenticated. Like you you see a counter saying you have 10 issues, but we only show you two. For example, it's a historical issue in GitLab. I would almost consider this as part of two categories instead of one.
No, it's not. It's
No,
not something's broken. Something's
no.
broken is like an error message or like you know what
Ah,
I mean?
okay.
Like this is just saying like you have to do this before you can come see these things. I do think that it is a separate issue that should be addressed in like plan and create about like kind of counts being reconciled when you don't have access to SAML groups.
Mhm.
This one's tough because it, it's hard to tell how similar the experience of real world users who also have to use SAML is to our experience. Because you have to assume a
Yeah,
lot of them are probably also users that are like part of an ID management system where like they it's SAML or nothing, you know? So I don't know how many users there are in the world that experience the same thing we're experiencing internally at GitLab, which I also don't know
yeah.
why, by the way, we don't do LDAP for our own users, but separate thing.
So one thing that I'll mention here is that even though this is a banner, the amount of people that see is very low. So I would argue that like this banner should exist for our benefit, but our customers really won't be seeing this. Like a very, very small percentage of them would be seeing it. So it's another aspect that I think it's important for us to consider when we're talking about this, like how many people are being impacted by these banners. Um, that's the end of the authentication ones.
I
I
think
will pass the, oh, sorry, yeah.
on that note, I do think that's an important part of this audit. I don't know if we have data on all of this, but what percentage of customers, maybe it even needs to be broken down by like .com, self-managed, or having that information would be helpful. But how many customers are seeing this? How many is it impacting? And then like also metrics on like how many are engaging with the thing could also be interesting, not just closing it, but actually like clicking on a CTA.
Yeah, I agree. I think check the instrumentation if we're tracking any of this would be great.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Now, security insights.
So I
Who do
broke
I
these.
pass the ball to here? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to take over if that helps.
It's the big
Yeah,
one.
I put to follow you here.
Okay, great. So the first one we have, I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Yes. Okay. So the first one we have, the first two are actually carried over from other stages. They just appear on every single page that you go to. So this has nothing to do with the vulnerability report. So I would like to just cut these. Um,
Chad, were those included, any of the cutting MRs?
Good question. I think that that first one was. I didn't do any that are related to this stuff myself, but I thought I saw an MR for that, hey, invite some people one. The foundational agents one, I haven't seen one way or the other, so I'm not sure. The way this is being wrangled is like there's a Figma file with a bunch of screenshots, and they just asked people who were helping out with it to just jump in and comment, oh yeah, I'll do that one. So I can take a look real quick and get back to you about whether or not that one's already been addressed.
Is this something that, as a follow-up, we should be putting our activity from here into that file?
That is a good question. I don't know. I think that's a question for Marcel. I
Okay.
think he's the one who organized that. Or actually, Becca, I don't know what your involvement was. Maybe you're the one who put that together.
The MR2 cut.
No, there's a Figma file with a bunch of banner cleanup screenshots. I don't know who put it together, but Marcel has been the one kind of in there commenting on stuff as people work on it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people there, to be honest, there, Chad. I think I see like 6 or 7 people in there. So I think it's a communal kind of file at this point.
I'm just gonna carry these over. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. We have this warning alert for which scanners are not enabled for the project. Um,
Hmm.
that was to try to address like this false sense of security. If it says, if you have an empty state that says like there's no vulnerabilities, like we don't want that to mean that your project is therefore safe because you may not have anything enabled, or you may have, SAST enabled and there's no SAST, but you may not have anything else enabled. So I don't know if there's a way we can carry this into the error or the empty state. That could be interesting. Like while you have no SAST vulns, like there are a number of other scanners you could be running. Um,
Yeah,
that
because even it's
but
really hard to read here. Like it's very hard to read here. I think there's a better way of like listing these.
I agree. I think this
Yeah,
is also
yeah.
on several pages. Um, this to me is a clear one that should not be a banner. It should be embedded on the page in a more uh in a clearer way. And I think Michael, you've got some ideas there, but yeah, this is one that I think needs to be not a banner and embedded.
I think the other problem is like I have ideas for how to replace these things, but then it's just like we can't do that because of some pajamas constraint. Or not even pajamas. Like I was in the pajamas Slack channel yesterday saying like, hey, can we add, if you go to filter by report type on the vulnerability report, can we add like a not enabled there? So it's like more contextual. And I was told that we don't have control over like the drop downs in the filtered search component. Like they're separate. They're not using our pajamas drop down components. So it's like unclear who owns that and like how that would be updated. So I don't know if that's just another reason to move away from the filtered search component because apparently it does things that are outside of pajamas control, which seems crazy to me. So anyway, I think cutting this is fair. And oh, did somebody move it?
Moved it. I put it just, sorry, yeah, in
No,
the
it's fine.
informative bucket
Okay, perfect.
now. And then
The next one is time-based data retention limits. So this was starting in May last year. So it's probably, I mean, if somebody didn't acknowledge it, I guess it's fair to show it still, but we will gradually migrate vulnerabilities that have not been updated to the archive. So this is if you don't do a thing, something's going to happen. So I'll move this here.
no, and
Um,
this will be a very interesting one to get some data on like how many impressions is this banner getting now? Would we be able to know that?
you mean impressions, like how many customers are seeing it? Because there's not
Yeah,
really an
yeah.
interaction to be taken. It's just like heads up. Um,
Mm.
I mean, we do show like on the vulnerability row, there's an icon where if you hover over it, it says like plan to be deprecated. And if you
Mm.
click into the vulnerability, it says that, but you have to see it in the list to know that that's a thing. So I'm hesitant to cut this one
Is this
because
one?
your vulnerability counts could drop drastically, and you could attribute that to like, oh, great, my team is doing great things in triage and remediating, but really it's just there was like a bulk archive.
Mm.
Becca,
Um,
is this one that we could use? So knowing that we have the icon already on the page, is this something where we can use that sidebar? I know it's like what's new, but if we put something in there, that's a persistent place, or that's a place to have persistent information that reduces the banner, but it would be a natural interaction where users could go to continuously get access to this, and we have an affordance on the page.
yeah, I'm very curious to hear from Growth how many what the metrics look like on that, how many people are clicking on that. Um, I mean, as I also said in my banner audit, I think it would be great if we could like identify who is like the security persona and then show something like this in an alert section, like on their home dashboard, because otherwise it's going to generate noise for a lot of people that maybe don't even interact with vulnerabilities. Um,
Mm.
but yes, it could go there. Um,
Are there other
for
forms
sure.
of notification that your team uses for this? Like, do they receive emails about something like this coming soon?
Yes. Uh, there are emails about it. Yeah, I figured there is also there was also just a use case to put it on the page, but I mean, we can remove it now that I think this was good to include initially. I think given that this has been we've been archiving
Yeah.
for the past like
Yeah.
7 months. If you haven't logged into GitLab in 7 months, then you're probably not interacting with this stuff too much. So at this point, we can probably remove it. It'd be good if we set some kind of timer, like deprecate this after, I don't know, 3 months. So at this point, I'm comfortable cutting it. I think
I
I think
just
it's good to introduce in the first place, but at this point, I'm good cutting it. I also
cool.
have a security notifications, report notifications issue open that I plan on talking with my EM and PM with next week, because that would address a lot of these. And then I think there was one more. Yeah. Oh, two more. So GitLab Duo SaaS positive detection available for a limited time in free beta. So this is something new. I don't know, given the big like AI push and the huge problem that are false positives, I think this is a good use case for a banner, especially given the time sensitivity of
Mhm.
that it's only available for a limited time because when it goes GA, it's not going to be available anymore. So
I think this feeds
So,
into the definition of it's money driving. There's
yeah,
urgency.
FYI, there is already an MR open to remove this.
Oh, this specific one?
Looks like
Okay.
based on that Figma file. I'm trying to find the link to the MR. Yes, I found it. And let's see what the status is.
if it generates money, then
Already
it
merged.
shouldn't
It's
just
already been
be.
removed.
Yeah. Oh.
okay.
Okay. So, all right. So, like, what's the action that the user takes here? Because the button is covered. Is that just dismiss?
I think it's learn more, and it goes to the docs
Ah,
to
okay.
explain
So,
specifically how it works.
so this is available for a limited time in free beta, and then you have to upgrade after that.
Correct, to keep using it in GA.
Mm.
Does the button to use it get disabled and then you can notify them to upgrade then post beta?
Andrew, do you know if we do any kind of banner when it goes GA? I don't know if that's been addressed yet since it's still in beta.
Yeah, they haven't gotten there.
But yeah, I mean, this whole audit is going to cause a lot of like hesitation now, rightfully so, among the designers of like, well, can we add a banner now? Or
Well, in fact, I learned today, I wasn't involved in this effort, but we have added guidance on the GL alert component in the docs, basically saying, don't use this in designs.
Mm, okay.
for banners specifically, not alerts.
I think both.
Hmm.
So we have alert and then we have the banner component. Yeah.
I know
They
it is
look
for the
very
GL
similar
alert.
though.
Yeah, I know it is for the GL alert component. I don't know about GL banner, but I just saw a discussion about this in the channel this morning when I came to work.
So it says don't use the alert under any circumstances, like not even an error message or.
I think for the sake of this meeting,
Yeah.
let's keep going on some of this. I anticipate some of those
Okay.
pieces are going to be ironed out in the next week as we keep going through some of this.
The last one, something new is new feature grouping is available. We can definitely cut that. There's a button on the page, so
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. There's a little dot in
yeah,
I'm going to
here.
move it down here. So we've just got the use case for each of the pieces.
Cool.
cool. I mean, I could keep going. There's more. I don't know if we want to spend
I
more
think for the sake
time.
of this, we should keep going. I think this is helping
Yeah.
us identify, Becca, I would see if you can orient it to like the worst offenders or the ones where we're getting like the most problems.
Yeah.
The ones where we're getting the most problems. I mean,
Look.
yeah, so the
Let's
vulnerability
go
report,
there.
yeah.
But all that page. Well, there's one that I think it's very easy to remove here. What about this one? Like recommendation, auto resolve when no longer detected. How necessary is this if it's a recommendation?
Um, we just added this. So,
Mm.
um, my PM has a mission to get more customers to enable this policy. I've been making the argument that the policy should be enabled by default because I think it's extremely rare that you have customers that wouldn't want vulnerabilities automatically resolved. Um, so that's my proposal is to just enable by default because this is going to satisfy most use cases for customers. But
Would
yeah,
you mind adding a note for the async? I think that'd be interesting. The like I
I
think that's something also that you're highlighting here. That like sometimes these banners are not something that we recommended from UX, but it's something that is requested by product. So
I have a slightly
yeah.
different take, Becca. I mean, I agree that most of our users will want to do this, but I think there's a trust building exercise, and
mm.
trust can get pretty easily broken if you do just auto resolve without an intentional action here. Um, I don't think this is a banner, but it is something where we would want to. I think your nudge notification could work well here, actually, like on the vulnerability report where we can nudge something saying like, hey, you can enable this with a policy. But I do think that is one that should not be auto-enabled by default because you will want um for audit trails, if something were to happen and if we auto-resolve a vulnerability that an organization disagrees with, that puts us in a bad spot. There needs to be a user interaction in order to enable that.
We would still detect them, but they would just then have the status changed as resolved. So I feel like they would still be reflected in an audit, and you could just um, narrow that audit to which vulnerabilities were auto-resolved to make sure that the policy is configured in a way in which you agree um, with that resolution. So it's not like, you know, deny listing, or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
preventing the detection in the first place. So I thought it still would kind of be addressed in an audit.
I think it's more about the automation of that action without a user having explicitly specified. It's more of like for company protection. If something were to get resolved and they're in an audit log, you should be able to see that like Becca enabled this and not like GitLab automatically just did that for like a lens of company protection.
Sure. I will say that this alert is only shown to customers that don't have the policy enabled.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Do you all think that cutting is still the way to go there? Um, because I mean, we do hear some customer complaints that like, why is this showing me a vulnerability if it's been resolved? Um, like this one down here, vulnerability resolved in master. This vulnerability is no longer detected. Verify the vulnerability has been remediated before changing its status. So some customers do see this and then say like, well, why is it even here? Why is it in needs triage if it's been
Mhm.
resolved? So, and maybe it's
Yeah,
the
that one I would.
language of vulnerability resolved in master. I mean, maybe it's like vulnerability no longer appears in master. Um,
That's one I think we should cut and embed that information on the page.
okay.
You could maybe also move that call to action for setting up auto resolve to this messaging so that when someone sees that and goes, why didn't this get resolved automatically? There's a thing they can click on to go make that happen.
Yeah. But it sounds like, Marissa, you think it should be cut?
I do. I think that one should get cut and then put directly on the page.
Yeah, add a post-it, I mean the recommended steps for the like immediately after removing, we need to open an MR to do this instead, you know?
So you're saying that that would like live in the information here, like somewhere in down here, it would say
To
it's
me, I
been
see that
resolved.
actually as a, I mean, I don't want to detract from the meeting for all the examples. To me, that one is like a status update. That would go from needs triage to like resolved or like putting that information in resolved. That's where I see it mostly in other products. It's a status update.
Just conscious of time, we have another 5 minutes until five. But would you prefer that we do a part two of this? Because I think we're doing a lot in here. To be honest, I'm finding this very helpful. I'm even understanding a lot of the other areas outside of authentication as well. But
Yeah. So there's a hackathon next week. I would encourage us to spend some more time doing this. That is the directive coming from Jonah, Marcel, and Valerie, is we do have a hackathon. The output of that is to continue some of this, figure out what we want to be cutting first and foremost, then figure out how we want to bucket pieces. I would encourage us to, I mean, we could, knowing that there's a hackathon, we could bring this up. We have some time already on Friday to do it. We could bring it up if we wanted to, but we should continue this workshop. Um,
Could we consider swapping the UX design critique with this next week so
yeah,
it's a day earlier?
yeah,
Is
let's
that
do it.
mhm. Chad, would you be okay to join again as well? Are you finding this helpful?
Yeah, sure. What time next week?
Critique are usually on Wednesdays, and I'm not
That
going to
one
share my
could be,
calendar because it's different.
it's Thursday. It's Thursday,
Thursday.
February 5th, currently from 8 to 8:50 Pacific time. I'll pull up your calendar, see if there's anything.
I do have a conflict then, I think, right? Because that would be 11 to 11:50.
Eastern time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll record this and we'll share out. We'll be posting updates regularly as well. We'll add you as optional just so you have visibility into this and can access links easily. But
Yeah,
uh,
I can see. I mean, it's a team meeting. It's not like a one-on-one, so I can see if it's all right for me to come here instead.
all right. Thank you, everybody. This was fantastic. I'm going to be sharing out some of the results to this to Jonah, Valerie, and Marcel. I'll go ahead and cancel the design critique unless anybody is dying to get something critiqued. If so, let's figure out an async plan so we can still get you the critique and review that you need. So please reach out to me or post in the Sec channel. We'll work something out. I will bump this meeting up to Thursday, which would
Yeah.
actually give everybody Friday all free.
Yeah. I won't be here, so I'm looking forward to watch the recording, and I'm glad I went with the authentication ones first then, because again, I won't be here.
Should we just
Um,
try to find a time where Chad and Sayo can attend then?
I'll be off all week, Becca, and
Oh,
I don't want to be a
gotcha. Okay,
blocker.
got
Yeah,
it.
I don't want to be a blocker for yourselves, but I'm looking forward to watch the recording. And again, thank you all so much for adding your screenshots and sharing your thoughts as well. This is super, super helpful. Have a good one next week.
Thank you. See you
Thank you
all.
for setting this up, Sayo.
Yes, appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks all.
See ya.
Sayo.
Bye.